you're robbing yourself if you don't stream on a platform that gives you a 95-5 split on subs. That doesn't have
Listen,
ads. That won't
I got
ruin the
answers for
fucking viewer
that.
experience,
listen.
regardless of whether they're a
I
sub
got
or
answers for
not.
that.
So I know. So I'll ask you both. What do you guys think about Kick and Dantes? I heard that you're interested about moving to Kick.
Yep.
You know, maybe a little update on that would be nice. But let's start off with LowTeirGod. What do you think about Kick?
What do I think about Kick? All right, so before I got my Twitch back in March, I was banned for 6 months for donating subs to somebody, gifting subs. So it took me 6 months to get back on the platform. So I was in a rock and a hard place. I lost my YouTube channel, was trying to figure out where to stream. I was on Trovo, for goodness sakes. I was just like, you know what, f***ing LowTeirGod, I'm done. So I heard about Kick, and I was like, wait a minute, I feel like I'm at home again. I could talk shit. I can roast the fuck out of people. I don't have to worry about getting banned. But then I got my Twitch back. So the reason why I'm predominantly on Twitch is because I can monetize my streams. Like I believe in a reality of time and revenue. Like as men, those are the most two important things: time and revenue. Like I don't have ass tits. I can't go suck somebody up, be a waiter, and catch Brad Pitt. So for me, Kick, I think is a dope platform to let loose for sure. Like if let's just say if I got a contract, I would be here over it for sure because I don't have to worry about any types of bag at all, and I could just unleash everything that my audience is crying for. So it's just about being able to monetize yourself because I've been streaming for chat. How long have I been streaming? 2-3 hours? About 2-3 hours. What time we come on here, Destiny? 3 o'clock. So 3 hours, I got 2 subs. So this is just pure. This is just pure, pure just satisfaction for the audience. And most people can't sub on the app. So it's just little grammatical errors, you know, little technical errors that need to happen. They can only sub on desktop. You know, if I'm on Twitch,
Or through going through their web browser on their phone. Yeah, I mean the
that's
app
what I'm
does need
saying.
a
But
lot
you
of
got to
work.
remember, the average person is lazy. You know that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I agree with you. The app needs a lot of work. I
But I
think
fuck with
everybody
Kick
here
though.
agrees. The fucking
I
app
fuck
needs
with
a lot
Kick.
of work. Yeah,
I fuck with
Dantes.
Yeah, I mean,
Go
listen. It's just one of those things where like I feel like streaming is kind of separate into like 3 areas, right? So you have the first one, which is like the amount of money you can actually make from the platform itself. Then you have the other one, which is how much you can actually grow as a streamer. And then you have the other one, which is like your relationship with the company, right? And it's one of those things where if you were to be a league streamer and you switch over to Kick, you're not making any growth as a streamer. You're just not. Because there isn't, like, streaming on Kick, you stream if you're either a just chatting streamer or if you're a slot streamer. That's it. That's the only way that you can actually grow because that's what's being pushed. And even then, the majority of the people that are at the top, they're people who were banned on Twitch and they had to come here and they're just bringing their communities here, right?
Or they got a fat fucking contract.
Yeah, so that's why it's one of those things where to make the switch right now as a gaming streamer makes no sense, right? And then you could make the argument of like, okay, but what about so like you're not gonna grow, right? And then like LowTeirGod was saying, like the reasons why even though you might have a higher sub split, doesn't necessarily mean you're getting more subs. You also can't get primes or anything like that. And then the other thing would be like your relationship with the company itself, right? And the way I view it is that just because Kick responds to its streamers, and just because they're very, I guess, like, open with the people on their platform, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have a good relation with them, because it's one of those things where right now they have to be. So the way that I would see it is like, if they offer good contracts, then it's kind of like their show of good faith of like, all right, well, we know what you're risking, and we're willing to supplement your income by this much by giving you a good contract. So unless you get a good contract, right? Like, I was in talks with Kick for a little while, and we didn't come to an agreement, right? But it's just one of those things where if you could get to an agreement, then I could see why you would want to like pursue it, right?
Wait, outside of getting the contract, don't you see any incentive behind, like, let's say the 95-5 split or the lack of ads that's going to take away from the viewing experience from people that are not sub to you?
No.
Like, don't you see things there that might put
No.
you closer to getting on Kick?
Throwing the last
No,
poll in
and the
Kick
reason
chat,
why
guys.
is because first off, for me, it's one of those things where the money is like whatever. Once you're making over a certain amount of money a month, whether you're making way more than that or the same amount, it's like it doesn't really change your life too much, right? And it's also the fact that moving to Kick nukes all the people who would just passively lurk your stream. right?
Vote
Like the people
for
who
the
just sit there
winner
and they'll click on your stream because there's no one else live. Like
of
those
Keep
people, they're just gonna watch someone else
or
now.
Kick. I don't.
So
Or Kick or
you're
Keep.
kind of
I
like
keep forgetting what
moving
we
and
call
you're
this.
just
But
bringing over your core audience, but it's like you're bringing over your core audience and you're not really benefiting that much in like a growing perspective. Like when I was 100 viewers, I turned down this like six figure deal from Facebook, right, to stream on Facebook, because I said, okay, you know what, I think I could grow more on Twitch. And it's just one of those things where as you grow, you always have to keep in mind that if you're going to move platform for a bag, you could be potentially missing out on a bigger bag by being on the platform that allows you for the most discoverability.
But hold on now, you're not only moving for the bag necessarily. The one of the reasons why you want to move away, or at least you were in negotiations with Kick and trying to move away from Twitch, was the treatment that you were getting. Like you said,
Yes,
you've been
okay,
blackballed based
but
on
hold
what
on,
you did.
hold on. Listen, this is the
Go
thing
on.
though. What is the difference between Kick and Twitch if Kick would be willing to offer me a bad deal just because they know that Twitch is mistreating me? Do you see what I'm getting at? And that was one of the thoughts that I had. I was like, let's say Kick really does care about me. They care about like the viewer. They care about all these things, or the streamer. Then would they not want to give you a good deal or a good offer as a show of good faith? And if they're willing to just, I guess, like give like a lower one, then it's one of those things where you're not really better than Twitch so much as it is that you're just doing what you have to do until you become a competitor with them.
Okay, so it's like same animal, different beast type shit. It's not like
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
grass is not greener on the other side. When you went to the negotiation table, you realized they were kind of fucking butt fucking you because it was your only avenue, because they realized, hey, he's not gonna go back to Twitch. He's already fucking pissed off where he's
Yeah.
at. So
Well,
we can fucking
but
give him a
that's the
bad
thing.
deal.
It's like the thing about me is I can like dislike Twitch as much as I want, but at the end of the day, the majority of my viewers are on Twitch. So if I have to stream on that platform to please the majority of them, I'm gonna do that, even if it means that I'm supporting a company that I dislike, right?
Okay, what besides a Kick deal that's not bad or unfair could Kick do to incentivize people like you to come on Kick? I'm curious.
I think the biggest thing that Kick would honestly have to do would just be like, I feel like they would. I mean, they're already doing a good job because having the good sub split makes it so that all like the streamers who want to develop and who want to grow and who want to become full time, like the 5 viewer, 10 viewer, 20 viewers, they're all already going to Kick because they say, okay, well, more money means that it's more of a possibility that I can like grow or I can make it my full time career, right? But the problem is that for the people who already have a set viewer base on Twitch, unless you're getting a contract, you're not just going to switch over for no reason because there isn't enough of. It's almost like there's not a big enough pie to incentivize like switching over.
I think a big pie, not necessarily switching over, but the fact that Kick, I don't know if they do it for everybody, but the fact from what I heard that they offer non-exclusive deals where you could
Yeah.
still stream on Twitch.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you take that contract when you can do both? Like, do you
Well-
only have one pair of shoes?
Listen, I agree, but I think that the contract would have to be good enough to make it worth it because you'd have
course.
to realize that for all the hours you'd be spending on Kick, that's X amount of hours that your competition on Twitch is growing and you're not, right?
That's
so,
true.
So that's why it has to be like the non-exclusive thing is the only thing that makes it appealing, but then it has to be a good enough deal where you'd say, okay, you know what, it's worth it.
Where I could still juggle both, basically. Where I could like, even I could have a good contract, right, and have like I could spend maybe 80% of my time on Twitch and then the other 20% on Kick, which is what I'm trying to do right now with zero contract.
Yeah, no, but yeah, but that's why the thing about, listen, I'll just like speak bluntly, right? One of the big things about Kick as well is that gambling is a big part of it, right? And the thing is, if you're gonna bring over your audience, right, to Kick, it is unstoppable that some of the viewers will watch other streamers who end up being slot streamers. So by proxy of you switching over, you also have to keep in mind that some of the viewers that you bring over may one day end up becoming gambling addicts or things like that just because of your switch, right? So I feel like that's also
Wait, you
another
really
thing they have
believe
to weigh
that?
in. I mean,
Do you really
yeah, for
believe
sure.
that? Because at the end of the day, they could do the exact, like on let's say on Twitch itself, if you have an audience that fucks with League of Legends, they wouldn't necessarily fuck with slots because they could find slots on Twitch itself. So
No,
why
but
would it make it
listen,
much more appealing
but
to
even if
go
it's
to?
1%, imagine even 1% of your audience decides that once you go offline, they want to watch another streamer that's doing slots. 1%. So you have 1,000 viewers, 10 decide to watch slot streamers. Imagine over the course of a year, 10 of those viewers, right, over the course of all like that 1% viewers, 10 of those viewers end up becoming gambling addicts or whatever it might be. That's because of you, right?
So
Yeah, but
it's a morality
that's also
issue.
possible on Twitch though. That's the thing though, right? That's also possible on Twitch.
Well, I mean,
It's
Twitch
not
Yeah,
like
is
if I play
Twitch
Street
is
Fighter
versus
every day,
gambling
right?
streamers.
yeah,
All right. So example, I'm known for Street Fighter, right? So there's so
yeah.
many people that are like, yo, LTG, like I started playing Street Fighter because of you. Like, how could I get better? So that goes with any fucking thing that you do on stream.
But the difference is that someone sits there and they get addicted to, let's say, Street Fighter or League of Legends, right? It's not like they're gonna sit there, they're gonna get their paycheck, and they're gonna put that shit into Sweet Bonanza,
I
right?
feel you.
And it's like the thing too is that gambling, it's not just about you, right? It's also about your family, your relationships, friendships, all the things like that. So that's why it's one of those things where I feel like Kick should take into account 100%, even if you're not doing slots and that's not in your contract, that some of your viewers that you bring over, if you have a massive audience, could end up be like getting into gambling as well. And if they're willing to like offer, let's say, lower deals, even in spite of that fact, then it's just not worth switching.
I think that the earlier contracts were based off of slots. I've never seen Destiny play slots, or I'm not sure if he has a
Well, you
contract,
can
but
have, as far as I know, you can have like slot contracts or non-slot contracts, and that just depends on like what you want to do.
yeah, me personally, I don't fuck with gambling. Like
Yeah.
I'll play a roulette, win 60 and leave. So I would never do gambling, but my audience is still gonna be influenced by anything that I fucking do or
Yeah.
anything that I say. Just by default, that's human nature
Yeah.
to follow suit. That's what we do. The human
Yeah.
beings are basically copycats. We're a copycat species.
Yeah, and that's why earlier I was saying, right? It's like as a content creator, you do have that responsibility, and then you're gonna have like all those streamers that will say things like, "Oh no, chase your bag," like you do you, take all the sponsors, do all that, but at the end of the day, you're the one that's in the position you're in because of the one
Okay, hold
viewer
on,
who
hold
supports
on.
you, right?
Dantes, let me provide a little bit of pushback right here because, it seems to me, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, it seems to me that there's quite a bit of virtue signaling going on here because the reason why you didn't come over to Kick was because they disrespected you with the contract. But now we're talking about you need to be mindful about the fact that if you bring in people, 10% of them could get into gambling, 1% of them could become addicts, right?
Yes.
But if the contract was sweet, you would have been a Kick streamer by now. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And
I
also, if
see what
you're
you're
to
getting
look,
at, but that's what I'm saying. It's like this kind of sliding scale, right? Where if you're gonna be offered, let's say, a bad or even like a decent deal, right, to switch over, it's one of those things where, like, you're not gonna pull your pants down and start shitting in public for like $50, but some guy comes up to you, he offers you $500,000, and you might say, you know what, I'd consider it, because at that point, it's an offer that just can't be refused. Does that make sense?
see, but now you're actually fucking bolstering my point though. Like with the virtue signaling, you're basically saying, like, I believe everything I just said, but I also have a price. Like I could be bought. Like if you are to give me enough money, I'll drop down my pants and I'll just take a shit on the streets. You get what I'm trying to say? Like
Yeah.
I agree with you. Don't get me wrong. I do think that like gambling is fucking degenerate. Like I dislike gambling. I wouldn't take a gambling sponsor. I wouldn't do anything with gambling, whatever, right? But at the
Yeah.
same time, if we're gonna sit here and say, like Kick,
Well, listen,
uh,
okay, but I'll give you, I guess, like another example, right? Raid
Wait,
Shadow
can I ask
Legends
you one
come-
question before you give an example?
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
gonna ask you one question. Hold your thought. If Kick offered you a $3 million deal, non-exclusive, you only had to stream on here 3 days a week, $3 million a year, or $3 million for 2 years, would you take it? Non-exclusivity. Okay, that's all I have to ask.
Yep. So that's why it's just one of those things where, like, for the example, right? Let's say Raid comes up to you, and they sit there and they're like, okay, we're gonna offer you 15 grand, right? And you're gonna do like a Raid sponsor. Sure, there are some viewers that if you do that Raid sponsor, they might get addicted to Raid, and like maybe one or two might actually sit there and it might become somewhat harmful to their lives. But it's almost like there's this kind of sliding scale where 15 grand is a fuck ton at the end of the day. And there is like a cost of living where everything becomes, I guess, like, but it's like I could survive, right? And I could do well with what I'm currently making. And then if you factor in sponsors, it's just like added money. But then you have to realize that streaming isn't forever, right? And there might come a time one day where you can't stream anymore for whatever reason. And you know, it's one of those things where I have, I guess, morals when it comes to streaming, but there is that one area where it's like I might consider kind of easing up on them, depending, right?
Okay, that's fair. No, at least as long as you acknowledge it, it's fair. I was just trying to point out because when you were talking about the ads, I'm not running ads to low tier God. I was like, oh, okay, this is somebody that's not willing to,
Yeah,
you
but
know.
hold on. It's one of those things where there's a difference between taking money from a big company and taking money from a viewer, right? Like I can honestly say I've never done a sub goal, never done a dono goal, nothing, because I've always said that it's not on my viewer to pay me. It never is. And ads are a part of the viewer paying because they're giving up on the viewer experience for that, right? But if a company is willing to offer you a fuck ton of money, that's different because fuck them, they're a company, right? It's not like you're taking away from like the individual.
Yeah, sure, I understand where you're coming from, but if this company that's offering you a lot of money, according to you, is a company that could put your viewers or like a percentage of them at risk of becoming gambling addicts, you're still harming the viewer at the end of the day. You might not be taking money directly out of their pockets, but you may be leading them down a path
Yeah,
where they're
but
exposed to bad
I
shit,
understand, and
right?
that's one of the reasons where again I do my best to minimize it, right? Like I would never take the gambling sponsor, right? Even if it was like a higher figure for it, and I would never like encourage any kind of that stuff. But if it's something that happens by proxy, it's almost like there's a certain amount where you kind of have to weigh how much you could make, and then also like how much you could warn your audience against it, versus what is like realistic. You know what I mean? It's like it's just like this weighted scale where when does it become worth it? When does it become not worth it? What can you do to minimize it? All those kinds of things.
I think that
Yeah, okay, that's
so
fair.
you said one thing that stood out to me. So you said we can't stream forever, right?
Yep.
So would you want to go back? And I'm going to ask you this, and I'm still going to talk. I said, would you want to go back to being a regular guy after you're done streaming without setting yourself up? Because the whole point is to be able to go off the grid without having to worry about shit, Jim Carrey style, where I made so much money. If I don't want to stream for 5 days, I'm out of here. So when you say there's going to be a chance that, we don't stream anymore, wouldn't you want to maximize your time and your revenue? We're still human beings. Like we still want to, when this shit is all over, we still want to walk away like, you know what, I succeeded at something. I made this X amount of
Yeah.
money. Now I can sustain myself on this type of level. And I'm not going to be like, fuck, like I just wasted a decade of my fucking life. That's what I'm saying for you.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like you have a very kind fucking heart. You have a lot of morality. I get that from you. You have a lot of morality, and I honestly feel like you're selling yourself short, bro.
Well,
I mean, to get
listen.
5 to 7K and run zero ads for people who legitimately fuck with you that probably don't mind watching your ads, it's basically like just walking into a movie late. When you run ads, you walk into a movie late. I missed about 5 seconds, but fuck, I'm still here. Did you ever walk out of a movie that you were 10 minutes late to, or did you continue watching the movie?
I understand where you're getting at. Like I
Yeah,
really really
but the
do.
question though, have you ever
Yeah.
walked into a movie late and finished the movie?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, yeah. So that it's just one of those things where streaming for me, right? I remember streaming at 0 viewers. Okay.
Hmm.
And I remember sitting
Likewise.
there. Yeah, like I'm all of us, right? All of us
Hmm.
started. We're started at 0 viewers, and I remember streaming for like 200 hours a month, making nothing from it, right? Every day going to my mom, telling her, "Mom, I had 3 people watching me today," you know, and it's just one of those things where when I got bigger and bigger and bigger, I never wanted to forget the base level that I was, where it was that one individual viewer watching me, you know, because at the end of the day, sure, I might have 5 to 7K, but or 5 to 7K viewers, but it's like 5 to 7,000 of those one viewers, you know? Like it's not just a block number of 5 to 7K. It's like no, like it's each one individual person watching you. And if they start having a bad experience just because I want to sit there and make a few thousand more every month, then that's not something that I would do just because it's almost like I don't forget where I came from. Does that make sense?
All right,
Yeah,
listen,
I mean,
guys.
none of us do.
I appreciate that, Destiny.
All right, bye.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.